Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our third edition of our EKN Face2Face live here on our Facebook stream. Myself, Rob Howden, alongside David Cole. We've got some great guests coming with us. What is it? April the 28th. I never know what day it is, David. It's Tuesday now, right? We're just into a new week. Everything kind of blending together. Every time I do the IG lives, I have to look down at my laptop to figure out what day it actually is because, man, it's just nuts.
I have a paper calendar. It's easier just to kind of, glance
That's
over
old
there.
school.
It's notes. You got to have all these little notes, when you're coordinating everything, And I always got the paper calendar, so I just do the quick glance. I'm like, oh wait, and then I'm like, what week are we in? That's the hard part for me is what week are we in?
I know it's crazy. Things are going by. It seems like they're going by fast and they're going by slow. And I'm working more hours than I usually ever do. I'm commentating on iRacing events now. We've started the face-to-face. We've been doing almost daily IG live interviews with people within the industry. I've been doing the same thing for my Road to Indy Insider side of the things, and it's just been unbelievably crazy. So, a lot of iRacing stuff going on. David, you've been doing some iRacing or what?
It was really sad yesterday, and I mean it's sad, but it's good. But I hear your voice all the time. I hear Xander's voice all the time. I hear Eric Brennan's voice all the time. All three of you were broadcasting at the same time yesterday. I went from the Rock race, hearing Xander. And then I'm like, wait, Rob has a race. I was on Apex listening to you call a race. And then WKA had their race with Eric Brennan on there. So I was like, all at the same time, all three of you. So
you can run, but you can't hide.
It was triple the win bags.
We're just trying to keep our voices in tune for when we're getting ready to go racing again. That's pretty much what it is, I think.
Yeah, that's a workout.
So let's talk about what we got going here. We got a couple of guys waiting in the wings. USAC Karting has been this a program that kind of course, came out of USAC, which has been around forever, the United States Auto Club. They brought a karting program out, and kind of right with that, David, was the launch of the Battle at the Brickyard. You got a chance to go before I did, but last year, both of you and I were at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for that event, and they've come in a different angle. They haven't come out saying, hey, we're going to be this big sanctioning body. We're going to start supporting clubs and have a rule book. And it's more, hey, you know what? We want to put a couple of races on and want to have some fun with everybody. That's kind of the way. Well, and we'll talk to Mike Burrell more about that. But it's been interesting what they've done and the mark that they've left in only a couple of years.
Well, when you add a name like Indianapolis Motor Speedway, that helps build a core foundation so it gets people on board right away. And then you bring back an event like the eKart Grand Prix, something that was historic and iconic in the late 80s, early 90s, that was actually broadcasted on television, was something that who've been in the sport since then or before then knew it was a big deal. So that resonates with a lot of people. And, so they're staying home. It's all within the confines of Indiana. So that helps. Yep. There's a lot of motorsports in Indiana, and that helps to feed that, again, that base, that grassroots level. And that's kind of where they're focused on. And as you said, they're not about taking over the world of karting. They're just here to provide some really cool events. They're hooked up with the SimCraft 24 Hours of Orlando, the last two years doing that. So they've branched out a little bit. They branch out here and there a little bit with some other events, little low-key events. They're branching out with the esports as well during this downtime, doing working with TJ and doing the SimCraft thing Wednesday night. Get on your sessions tonight to get qualified in the top 40. Believe me, you want to be in the top 40 to make the big show.
There it is. All right, well, let's get through this now because we've got joining right now. I've got Mike Burrell from USAC Karting. We've got Jason Burgess, our chief starter, and we got Rick Fulks as well. Let's bring them in. David will dial things in. There's Mike. Let's move things around. There's Jay. There's Dave's getting a handle on the production, guys. Right there. He's actually not on here right now, so we can slash him because there's just the four of us here. But anyways, great to have you on again, Mike Burrell in the top corner. I got to figure out where I am here. Over here, Jason Burgess, and down here, there it is. I feel like it's an episode of the Brady Bunch right now. Rick Fulks with us as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here on Face to Face. It's interesting how the COVID-19 pandemic here has kind of made everybody push beyond their boundaries. It's kind of weird, isn't it, that we're doing this kind of a live thing. We're doing iRacing for your customers. Let's start with you, Mike. It's interesting times for karting and for USAC in particular.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting for everything right now. I mean, no matter what you do, in real life outside of racing. It's definitely something none of us have ever lived through. So,
well, let's just jump into this right now. Let's because I want to obviously use this show for those who may be coast to coast and don't know a lot about what you guys are doing and why you've done it. When did USAC Karting start, and what was the genesis of it? What was what kind of fueled this concept of bringing the karting program into USAC?
Well, we'd talked about it since about 2010. Kevin Miller, USAC's president, and I, and then we kind of, things got kind of stalled in 2011 when Dan Weldon got killed because he was such a big influence on karting in this country and everything, and such a big star. And then kind of after that, a few years, Tony George Jr. and I were at lunch, and he's like, "Hey, why don't we talk about bringing this go-kart race back and just doing it with USAC," which didn't really have an interest in karting. They had an interest, but they hadn't done anything with it. So we just kind of made it happen, and in 2017 started at Indy, and at the same time, Elkhart, the mayor of Elkhart at that time, Tim Neese, was talking about bringing the race back there, and went up and talked to him and said, "Well, here's a plan to make it an event, just not we're going to come to town and race and leave, and see what we can put back into your economy and for your city." So that's kind of how we started it. And ACUS is USAC's a member of ACUS, so they were kind of putting some, not pressure, but saying, "Hey, USAC, you ought to look at getting involved in karting too, because you kind of got the whole steps, with midgets and sprints and everything, steps to NASCAR or IndyCar, whatever you want to do." And that's kind of where the whole genesis of this came from.
And the crazy thing is that you guys come out of the gate with, of course, the Battle of the Brickyard, the first one there. You get that going again with the street race in Elkhart.
Go big or stay home, I guess.
This is it, right? You guys go hardcore. Let's jump in then and kind of talk about the start of the Battle of the Brickyard. Was like you said, talking to Tony George Jr. I know there was at one point there was other people that were talking to pick from SCUSA. They were talking to WKA. Weren't they kind of trying to talk to a bunch of different organizations to maybe try to come together for an event? I remember hearing
that. That was Randy Bernard originally had that idea. Okay. And I mean, we all know karting. There's plenty of egos and ideas and different paths. And, it didn't work. People just didn't want to work together. So,
surprise.
No surprise there. So, the whole idea of the thing was, let's just make a fun event, no points, no purse, just make it something prestigious to be at, something prestigious to win, very prestigious to win. And, you're not getting paid for it. We're just going to have fun. There's no points, relax, come out and race. And the formula's worked.
Yeah, we talked about it last year when David and I were there. I think you and I were trying to kind of coin it as the country's largest club race, because there was just an amazing vibe to being at that race. Obviously, for the first time for me being there, David had been there before. I know Jason, you could talk about it as well for being the flagger there. But Mike, it just what a huge success story over 3 years. Amazing.
Yeah, and that's kind of, that was our aim. And Rick and Jason and I talked about that from day one. Was just let's get together and just if we keep a fun relaxed attitude about it as the people putting it on, hopefully that trickles down and everybody's just like, chill.
Right.
So far we haven't had any big fights or anything, and if we do, I'll take care of that.
I have no doubt you will. Jason, let's come to you, chief starter for USAC. You do a lot of races. Talk a little bit more about the behind the scenes of this event. I don't think people realize actually how much goes in to putting this event on.
Oh, it's literally 24/7. I think Mike and I talk when he's trying to eat dinner about 3 times a week at least. Just got a camera in his house for that, obviously. And it's literally, we're on the phone constantly, different ideas, and with the onset of everything we're going through right now, it's just times 3 of everything. It's like, what have you heard? What do you have to do? I came into the first year, very last second, like 3 weeks in. Mike had me for Elkhart, and I opened up where I could do Indy, and that was literally the first time Rick and I worked together, and Jim Fry and Randy Kugler and just everything. And there's actually a really cool photo we have from that first meeting, like the night before the race started, from the trailer as we went through everything of this is happening, and just how the event unfolded, how everybody had a good time. And that winter, I told Mike after Elkhart, I was like, hey, I want to be more involved. This is a really awesome program for karting. It was fun. As big as it was fun.
Let me ask this question as well, because I think it segues nicely, it connects nicely. You know, you think about some of the venues that karting's been able to grab over the last 20 years, right? SCUSA moving from the Rock Pile at Las Vegas Karting Center into Las Vegas, into the Rio Hotel, and then Sam Boyd, and then back to the Rio. You know, the old North American Karting Championships at Charlotte Motor Speedway, of course, 50-something years or 50 years, whatever it is. Rick, you can tell me, of karting at Daytona. Because I think Rick was probably about 30 years old back when that started, so he was running in the master's classes already. When
I was 50 then.
Jason, let me ask you, and then I'll ask Mike, and I'll ask Rick. You guys can go around the horn on this. I've been doing this for 25 years, and to be able to put a kart race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it seems to me like the absolute biggest venue we've ever been able to go to. I think Daytona's huge, right? We're at Daytona, yes. It's hard to maybe compare. But to be able, after this many years, to get a race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Jason, Mike, Rick, what were your thoughts that day before you guys were putting a race on at, you know, the greatest spectacle of racing, essentially? Were you intimidated? Was there a man, I can't believe we're doing this?
It was the whole disbelief that this is actually happening for me. It's just like, okay, I've won as a spotter here a couple of times between Indy, sports car, Indy Lights. I was getting goosebumps walking out towards turn 4, waiting on the next race to start, seeing the pagoda in the background, knowing we're racing on this part of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You're not racing in the parking lot. You're racing on the track.
Yeah. Mike, what about you? What was your feeling on that? You know, obviously you had time to I'm putting the race together. It's going to happen, but there had to be that moment of realization when you guys were putting the track together, you know, putting everything together that first night.
I think the biggest thing I was worried about was, what did we forget?
Yeah.
And, you know, do we have enough people to actually pull this off? And honestly, were any more people going to show up than had pre-entered? And I think we had 70 or 80 show up the first year that hadn't pre-entered. Wow. So that made for a big catastrophe. And it was, you know, there was just so much going on from the work end of it that, you know, and the unknowns. I had never really put on much of a race myself.
All right,
so
yeah.
I just kind of stepped into, let's just put on the biggest freaking race at the awesomest place ever. So I got to Rick and Jason and Jim Fry and everybody that helped, made it happen. I had a small part, honestly.
Well, Rick, you've obviously been in the sport for a long time. Your family's been around Daytona forever, road racing, sprint racing, whatever it may be. How about your feelings on that when it first came together, when you were brought into the team and when you were at the Speedway for the first time to put that race on?
Well, for me, it started before the day before. I had been a race director for several big one-off events, a couple big major series. And I had some other major series, as you know, Rob, asking me to come join them. And in essence, I had retired. I was done being a race director. I'd done it for numerous years. I was still competing, still am. And Mike came to me and, you know, offered me the position of race director for the Battle at the Brickyard. And I, you know, threw a little back and forth. I agreed, mostly because of the venue, because of the opportunity to work with Mike and Jason and Jim Fry and others. But in all honesty, for me, in all the years of the road racing that I've got to enjoy, you know, racing at Daytona and Road Atlanta and Mid-Ohio and Road America, all the places that today's karters haven't really had the opportunity to enjoy at the level that we did, you know, 20 years ago. And I wanted to be a part of something that brought this back to today's racers.
I can see that for sure. And again, just as being in the media for David and I, it was the same thing for us. When this race was happening, it's like we have to be involved in some way because it's just a monumental thing. It's a historic race within the industry itself. Obviously, the thing gets rolling. Mike, let's come back to you. Things you're done serving beer there in the bar, which looks kind of getting thirsty right now watching you do that.
It's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool.
We got a bar.
I get that. So let's talk about this year. Let's use this opportunity to do that now. Let's talk about this year. Obviously, Jason mentioned the fact that, you know, there's a lot of challenges right now, a lot of different things happening. You guys have stepped to the forefront. You guys have put the document together essentially of what needs to be done, how you guys are going to approach things. Can you take the time right now to kind of detail maybe a little bit of that for those who want to come to the race this year to understand what it's going to look like, what 2020 will look like for the Battle at the Brickyard?
Well, it's kind of a twofold approach to the changes. We got one big change in January, Roger Penske buying the track.
True.
So that requires us to step up our level from officials all the way down to the guys coming in the back of their pickup. We're going to put out some kind of not uniform that we expect the crews to wear, but we aren't going to let guys run around shirtless, like you're at a club race. So we got to be a little more, as Penske calls it, Penske perfect, in our approach and our image of the thing and everything. And we got to make it look like a big event. We got to impress the Penske people to make sure we come back. We can't have, the first year, and we don't know who it was or anything. We had some kids and their mom get on top of the pagoda at Indy.
Wow, really?
At like midnight. And anybody that's been up there, I don't know, you've been up there with a radio broadcast, but we've all been up there as spotters. There's no railing.
Wow.
It's a 10, 12-story drop right off the side. And I was scared that they were going to pull the plug on us the next day. But, we can't have any of that. We got to be, as they say, Penske perfect this year with a lot of things. And then also we're 2 weeks before the Indy 500 now. Or 2 or 3 weeks.
True. That's right.
So we can't mess the place up. We can't mess it up. On the COVID-19 side of things, USAC really did an awesome job. The whole team here, everybody, the sprint car guys, Levi Jones, who's national champion and was a big go-karter around the Midwest here in the early 90s before he went to sprint cars. Mm-hmm. His group, our group, the road racing side here at USAC that does like the SRO, which used to be Pirelli World Challenge, and a lot of that stuff. Everybody kind of came together, put together a really good set of guidelines, and then we're just going to space it out for, depending on where the state is at that time. So right now it's kind of we got to have trailers spaced apart. All registration is going to be online. We're not going to be able to do walk-up registration.
Okay.
It's basically you're just going to pull up. We'll scan. You'll have to have your QR code that comes with your registration. We can scan that, hand you your packet, and you go in. And a lot of things are going to be more. Unfortunately, they're going to be a little more not as social. But that's the world we're living in.
It is. That's right.
2020. Yeah, we're not going to be very social.
Yep.
I don't know yet if the concession stand will be open. It kind of depends on where the state of Indiana is at that time. I don't know a lot of stuff. It depends on where we're at. But USAC put out some really good guidelines for if your state's in phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3 of reopening. Kind of that goes with what the president and the federal government's put out as different stages of reopening. So hopefully by the end of July, it's just like, come on in. Let's all give a big group hug or something, in theory, and we can just have a normal event. But if not, we're ready with some ideas to space the trailers apart a little bit, space the grid apart, limit the amount of people in grid, and if we have to, even right now, those guidelines call for you can only bring X amount of people to the race with you. So if you have a big family where you're bringing, 3 little brothers and 2 little sisters and grandma and grandpa, you can't do that right now. Where the state is right now, you bring driver and mechanic and parents. Driver plus 3 right now. So hopefully by July, that's all relaxed. So we just got to, we got to put on we got a 2-phase challenge this year. We got to put on an event that it's going to press the Penske people so we can come back in the future. And we got to put on a safe event to, in accordance with state and federal guidelines at that time. So
how much are you watching? Like, I think we all are. Some of the stuff that's happening with NASCAR right now. Of course, they rolled out a kind of a schedule. They're looking at to do some Saturdays and Sundays and Wednesdays. I have a feeling, and tell me your thoughts on this, that if NASCAR kind of gets this thing kind of spooled up, it may start to flex everybody else a little bit, kind of lighten things up a bit once we start going racing other areas.
I think it will, unless there's obviously a problem, and you get like 10,000 people that went to a NASCAR race and they all have COVID or something. But we're not technically a non-spectator event. They're not selling tickets to the general public to go to the Battle of the Brickyard. So, in that case, we don't have to have all the same guidelines as a NASCAR race or an IndyCar race, having people in the grandstands. So, we've had a meeting over here with Doug Bowles, who's been a big supporter of our event anyway. And he's like, yeah, you know what, right now you guys are still on schedule. Everything's, as is, because, you're a non-spectator event. So
yep.
Fingers crossed.
Well, here's a question coming in from Gary Calling. I know Gary from up here in Ontario, and I think we're going to see a lot of people coming in from Canada this year. He said, if you're coming in from Canada, can we register a week before or so if the borders are even open? Are you going to have registration open a bit later now that you can't have any kind of walk-up at all?
Yeah, we were looking at up to about a week before,
the
event. So it'd be around July 15th or so. We would have to kind of shut it off and everything. And, I'm hoping by July, everything's 80-90% back to normal.
I agree with you. I'm hoping the same thing. Let's go to Rick real quick. Now, how does that affect, Rick, the kind of the race control side of things? Essentially, what how's that beer taste up there? Burrell, you suck.
He does suck.
We should rename this the Happy Hour with Howden, and we should all have cocktails right now. That's what should
I
be
like
happening.
that idea.
That's what should be happening.
I'll be right back.
I'm not driving anywhere. Maybe we'll do that down the line. Maybe we need a couple of Thursday or Friday night Happy Hour with Howden. You know what? That could be some spirited banter, I think, on there. Basically, what we heard from Mike was this. Oh, Alicia just brought me a beer. No, I'm good right now.
Burgess, you need one.
Mike was talking about separation. So, Rick, what challenges do you see when you're having to talk to a driver? Is it going to be this 6 foot back here? You go stand here, I'll stand here and yell at you from here, or what's the? It's interesting.
Well, first of all, there'll be no drafting, no bump drafting.
Of course, yeah, right.
Everybody will have to wear their helmet backwards, things like that. Now, obviously, as far as the social distancing, we're gonna tell people. Well, like Mike said, it's going to be dependent upon where the state is at the time. I mean, if here in Illinois, starting May 1st, masks are mandatory. Face masks are mandatory if you go out in public until they lift that restriction. I don't know what it's going to be like in Indiana at that time. We're going to do everything we can to remain the proper distance apart that the guidelines are at that time. We're going to have some challenges with the grid. Obviously going to have people. It's easy to separate folks on the grid. It's going to be more difficult after the race when everyone comes in, to the scales.
I was going to say that. Yeah, that's going to be a big one.
Yeah. Right? Maybe everybody keeps their helmet on. I mean, I don't know. We are just starting this from the beginning, just like everyone else. Maybe, and it's always been a rule that a crew member is not supposed to join you in line at the, at the scale line. But, other than at pretty much the big super nationals and the big national events, that's kind of a relaxed rule as well. Well, we may have to be a little more strict on enforcing that. We do want this event to still have the feel of, like we said earlier, just the United States' largest club race.
Yeah,
we want people to come and have a great time. No pressure to win. The pressure is on you to have fun. And, I think with everybody in quarantine, whatever we give them with the restrictions in place will be widely accepted because people just want to get back to it.
Agreed. And I think let's put this out there right now because I know that we're all worried about this race that's going to happen at the end of July, mid to the end of July. That's the date, right? July. Yeah. What is the exact date?
Mike, 24th.
23rd, 24th. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're almost.
Thank you. And I'm muted.
It's almost 3 months away. And we're really 6 weeks into this whole thing we've had with the COVID-19 anyway. So let's have an understanding that we're probably going to be in a lot better shape, of course, than we are right now. So that's first and foremost. One thing I'll ask Jason this because now there's a change in the track too. That's the one thing this year, right? We're not going to be pitted in the same spot. We're going to be pitted over.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
On the It's all right, Mike. I'm here. I'm here for you, bro.
Check your email for this weekend.
More
track maps.
One of us will stay sober so we can ask the right questions here right now. So, That said, one of the issues we had last year was we had so many entries was we had to go 2x2 essentially for the scales.
Right.
Will there be more room available to kind of have more like 6 feet apart from all the carts when we go to the scale line in the new track, in the new layout?
So yeah, I went over and measured everything for the new layout.
Okay.
The whole run to the scales is like 800 feet.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I mean it's 2.5 football fields.
All right, so we're good.
It
That's
ought to be good.
And it's not sharing the same strip with pit out.
With pit
So you've
Right.
got a lot wider area as well.
And you can cordon it off. Because remember
Exactly.
last time guys were walking across and they were walking across the grid or the scales to watch the races and everything as well.
Right.
So.
And it's the first thing you come across as you come into the pits. So you won't have a lot of spectator traffic going to watch the races because they go perpendicular or actually parallel with the new pit in rather than perpendicular. I know.
Let's
this way instead of this way.
We talked Brickyard. Let's talk about eKarting, the eKart Grand Prix as well, because that's obviously a legendary race in the sport. Right before I actually got into it in the mid '90s, but you guys brought it back, and it's not as big as it was at one time. But you guys have turned this thing into this cool event. There's a festival happening all around it. You guys are racing at night. You got bands. It seems like it's turned into I've never been able to go because of the conflicts, but it seems like it's just turned into this actually badass event.
Oh, it's super cool. I mean, the race is almost a sideshow, honestly, to all the other stuff going on. But the racers are having fun, and actually, the first year we had a complaint there was too much track time. You know,
wow.
Yeah,
all right.
it's like, well, we're just too busy. There's just too much track time. We can't enjoy all the other stuff. It's like, okay, so we actually backed that down a little bit the second year and had no complaints on track time. The biggest conflicts we have with eKart right now is just, going to the COVID-19 thing. It's a city. The city is highly involved. We have to have the city's support to make the event happen. Just logistically, fire, police, everything else, ambulance. And, if we can't do it because of COVID, this year, hopefully they'll be back next year. The sponsors are all still behind it. The local fans, we've been getting a ton of plugs on Facebook from locals that, really enjoy the event, and we want it to happen. The date right now is in limbo. It's a week before the Indy 500.
Yeah.
So, we're a little bit busy.
All of us.
We're all a little bit busy. Yep. So, USAC still has a big involvement in IndyCar, whether, around the area and everything. So, logistically, it's going to be tough this year to be on schedule, but we're working with the city. In fact, I emailed them right before I got on here, and we're looking at ideas, to make sure it happens and, make sure it happens long term also.
Yeah. And again, it's the thing about that race. It's not like the Brickyard where it's no spectator event. We bring everybody in, we lock them down, we can take care of everything. Because of everything around the fact that it's an actual it's a city event, right? There's it's going to have its own
close
challenges.
to 10,000 people at it last year.
Wow.
Saturday before the concerts, and when we're wrapping up the features, we did the podiums on stage for the main concert, and there were probably 8,000 people there watching everybody get their trophies.
Yeah, awesome.
Where else in karting, are you going to have 8,000 people at your podium?
Yeah.
Clayton Anderson, the country act who was the main headliner, he actually stopped. He did 3 songs, stopped, let us do the podiums, and then restarted his music set, which was
awesome.
incredible.
I love that. That's amazing.
And he's up there clapping, welcoming everybody on stage. Sorry, some hot girl just rode her bike down the street here.
Squirrel.
Yeah, I know. Shiny. It's an event, and when you got 10,000 people in probably a square mile area, I don't know the whole measurements. It's going to take some special consideration versus the Brickyard. So we're just kind of working with the city on that, and trying to get a feel for when they think is safe to do it and when we can make it happen.
So really, it's at this point then, Mike, it's kind of been limbo with date wise, because it's the COVID-19 situation first, and it's where would you guys fit it into the IndyCar schedule? Because you guys are doing IndyCar as well. Where do you fit it in a karting schedule? It could be tough.
It's tough. We've looked at some other dates, and then when you get into September up there, you got Notre Dame football.
Yeah.
Elkhart's 25 minutes from South Bend, but every hotel room sells out in that whole geographic area, and they go up to like $400 a night. You know?
Yeah.
So I mean, we're working with them. We're throwing out dates and ideas and everything, and hopefully they'll get back to us here. And they're kind of being conservative, which I don't blame them.
I understand that. Yeah.
They got a city to think of, not just a race. And if we have to do it again in 2021 and not this year, whatever it takes. We love that event.
So a lot of people tuning in right now here on Face to Face. Again, I've got the guys from USAC Karting, Mike Burrell, Jason Burgess, and Rick Fulks. If you have some questions for these guys, throw them up right now in the comments. While I wait for those to come up, we'll give a shout out to Jason Burgess for wearing his support karting t-shirt from eKartingNews. Yes, very nice. Jason, let's have a chance. Like, it's not really on topic with what's going on with USAC, but let's talk a little bit about your flagging, because it's obviously something that people absolutely love. I know you give a good smile there, but it's part of USAC. It's part of what you do. You're a very vibrant flagger. Talk a little bit about you getting into that part of the sport, because it adds so much, I think, to the overall event.
Everything I've done in racing hasn't been by the books. It's just literally when it first started, here's the flags. Okay, and actually Mike and Brian Robson and my dad, we were doing an event downtown with Indy Racing. See, Mike remembers this, and he had people from Hollywood there, and like became a joke, and like Mike and BR was like, go lower, go lower, go lower. No, do this, do that, and kind of how you're working the flags and all that. It just became a game for us the whole night, trying to go as old school as possible, and it just kind of stuck. And then, like I said, I wasn't going to do the first Brickyard race, and then I could, but the original plan for Elkhart was with the 80cc shifters was just go for a retro weekend. And Mike's like, do a white suit, do it up like Vidan, have fun with this, let's do retro. And I was totally on board. And then when I called him 3 weeks before Indy, he's like, yeah, you're in. And I was like, white suit, do it up. He's like, yeah. And that was same deal with Mike. That was my first major race. So I was just like, I think I had the warning label on me, like everybody, like when I talked to Rick, I was like, just be prepared. It's going to be a little bit different where I'm at compared to anything else you've seen. It just is what it is.
I love it.
And it just took off from there.
I don't think people realize, because you're on the track so much, but again, we're at the race, and of course I was driving, Dave was driving. Everybody knew how hot it was this year at the Battle of the Brickyard, sweating, tired. Anytime you get a chance to give Jason a hug, dude, you were like a walking wet napkin, because that jacket was drenched. And I give you props for doing what you did all week, because early on you were already soaked.
Oh, it was funny because Bowles came up to me and put his arm around me like Sunday night. He just kind of immediately did the jerk reaction of his head. And he looked at me. It's like, is that sweat? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, you're okay? I was like, I've hurt myself bad, but I'm okay right now.
That's it, right? Hey, we got one question coming up here, Mike. Gary Calling asked again about questions for hotels closer to the Indy track. Of course, that's something you can go online. But more the question is, are you allowed to camp on site? Can you do that at the Brickyard weekend?
Yes, you can. Okay. It's a $150 fee. Because we have to pay for extra security and everything all night long.
Yeah.
But yep, there is camping on site. I don't know if that'll be limited because of the COVID thing. Right now, I have it limited on the entry form, so we don't overextend ourselves and have to tell somebody, sorry, you've been booted. But we can put up also information on hotels around the area, anywhere on the west side of Indianapolis, Brownsburg.
Yep.
Are all within about 10 minutes of the racetrack. So
let's bring this one here up as well. You guys can feel free to slam them if you want. But Tom Harleman says, when is the statue of me going to be put up in the paddock for this year's race?
Jason.
So Tom, all I got was laughter.
We're gonna have to make a mold, so this is gonna get interesting.
Hey, I do got a funny story. Jason was talking about that celebrity race we did like 2 nights before Indy. I don't know when that was, like 2010 or 11. And some of the celebrities that were there, the guy that played Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore,
oh yeah,
was one of them. in a go-kart and he was smashed drunk. They never should have let him out there, but he was like one of the bigger celebrities at this thing. And he is just hitting everything but the lottery that night.
Oh my
and
God.
He is just drunk and literally like getting out of the cart and they're handing him mixed drinks. And he was hilarious.
Yikes.
But then he grabs whoever the guy was that played the lead guy in HBO's show Entourage.
Okay.
Was there. Name. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. But Shooter was just egging him on too. And that was just funny. I totally forgot about that, doing that event until Jason brought it up.
Adrian Grenier. Yeah, that was him.
Yes, that was him.
Look at Rick coming in with the names. He knows all the Hollywood stars. He knows what's going on.
I hang with the in crowd,
He's an A-lister.
He's an A-lister. Hey, somebody brought up the fact of Jason, you with your whiteboard greeting all the drivers at the start of the weekend, Justin Dietrich. I like that. I thought that was kind of a cool deal. Is that something that you plan to do on a regular basis? Is that your jam?
Oh yeah, it's a twofold deal. It's one of those deals, kind of especially for like indie and bigger events. Even at every event though, it's just kind of that tension breaker in the morning, just to get everybody so focused about the weekend, and then it's just like they see that and they kind of forget about it, forget about the whole plan in their head, and like, oh, okay, we're having fun. That's it. Which is really what it's about.
One of the things we didn't bring up yet, and I know that Cole and I we were together with the whole deal, but it's the lap around the track, right? And the cool thing was, I remember when I don't remember going across the yard of bricks because I was looking at you, Jason, the whole time when you were flagging. I totally rolled across and didn't even look down to see the yard of bricks. But that's to be able to flag that lap for everybody. I know that's a pretty amazing thing. I loved it. I thought it was just the coolest deal.
Yeah, being able to stand right where I'm able to stand at for that deal is really special.
And then we got a little I don't know how to say it. But talking to Dan Skyver, our contact at Indy, he's like, yeah, you guys have been so well behaved on that lap as a group, karters, that we were doing it by class, and that separated some of the teams. Like I know like Trinity, Sean Bailiff's group, they wanted to all be together, for a photo, but some of them were separated because it's had some guys in this class and some guys in this class. But Dan said this year, he goes, if you guys can maintain being behaved, you can line up however you want. So,
nice.
If you got a guy on a Briggs and you're on a shifter,
go-kart racers did something right. Oh,
well, the first year we did it, I stood up out of the sunroof looking backwards at a Tony George Jr.'s Suburban, and I'm giving him the evil eye, and I pretty much said, anybody screws this up, and I think I was a little more French than that, but anybody screws this up, you're out of here. I'm just going to pack up your stuff and throw you out the front gate right now, and that remains. Especially now with the new management over there, we have to be proper.
That's it.
So
Jason, you're being called out to talk about your chicken suit, racing in a chicken suit.
Thanks, Matt.
I don't know anything about this chicken suit story. What's the chicken suit story?
We did years ago with Mike Oddie, OMG.
Yep.
Actually, this might have been with Mike at this point. We didn't have the graphics for the kart minis yet. So it was like, just as a joke, we just put the chicken pit special on the side of the cart.
Yes.
Just for testing at Newcastle for a couple of weeks. And everybody started joking about it. And we'd had a really bad season the year before. And I looked at one of the guys like, okay, if we win 5 races this year, I'll do practice at next race in a chicken suit. And went out and we won like the first 5 races of the season all straight in a row. So by the time we got to an IKS race, here I am in a grid in a chicken suit running practice all morning.
I love it. That's fantastic. But let's spin off that. We didn't talk about it. Obviously, you suit up for your flagging duties. You go full old school USAC, which I think is classy. I think you were Elvis at one point. But for the Simcraft 24 Hours of Orlando, did you not have like a full lighted suit so people could see you at night?
Oh yeah, yeah. We had for the 24 Hours of Orlando last year for TJ's first outing with us. I had basically we called it the Tron suit. It was just all blue LED light up.
That's it.
And then I went through and handmade one for eKart, especially last year, and used it this year for the 24 as well to freeze in, and it was like white pinstripe LEDs, red accents, and just it's nuts. Had the flags lit up, the whole 9 yards.
I love it. All right, let's look forward. Mike Burrell, what's coming up for USAC? Is there a thought of another race, or is 2 pretty much what you guys are happy with right now? Or race or 3, right? Let's say, because you are connected with TJ Husman and the 24 Hours of Orlando. You guys help him out with that. But outside of those 3, are there any thoughts of maybe expanding to 4 or 5 races?
Yeah, we're always looking. I mean, it's got to be cool. Yeah. It's got to be cool. It's got to be unique. It's got to be fun.
Yeah.
We're just not going to show up at a track that everybody else shows up at and just, here's a race. Give us your money. Thanks.
Yeah.
Go home.
I hear you. Okay.
So, we none of the 3 of us do this for a living. This is all our kind of side passion.
Yeah.
So we're all good with just, hey, if it ain't fun, let's just stay at home that weekend or go do something else.
That's true.
So
we're on the road a lot as it is, right? So you don't
exactly.
want to go on the road.
So yeah. So if we can find a fun, unique, opportunity, we've been talking to some of our connections through USAC. I mean, we have access to some great tracks and great places, and if we can make it happen, and it's a good business plan, a good event plan, that it's fun, and it's unique, and to give the karters a new experience. Yeah, we're all for it. I'll
just throw it out there right now because I think it connects really good with USAC. And I know Chris Wheeler talked about it at one point. I'd love to see a dirt sprint track event somewhere. That I think would be a good connection with USAC. That's something that I think would be badass.
That would be. I don't know how many people would actually show up, though.
I think that'd be so much fun.
Yeah,
I think that'd be great.
Be a blast.
I think it'd be great. Okay, Rick. Let's go to you. Let's cap things off here. We're 40 minutes in. You're looking obviously at the season. Are you still working right now with the work you do with GM? What's your status right now?
Actually, it's Ford.
Ford,
Don't let them hear you say that.
I apologize. My apologies.
Actually, I'm doing some online stuff, kind of similar to what we're doing here, but as far as the hands-on traveling, all that's been halted.
Okay, it's all online. Okay.
Yep. The spotting stuff obviously has slowed down or stopped because there is no racing, other than the E stuff or the I stuff. No, I working out in the woods, cutting down trees, just kind of hanging out. We were talking about Jason joining us, and when Mike, when he and I were talking about putting the staff together, he said, I've got this guy who's going to be a good flagman. I think he's kind of new, but man, he's enthusiastic and he'll give 100%. Well, we didn't realize he was going to give 1,000%. And, so he's our mascot. Mike's the feel good guy. And I'm always kind of the heavy because I have to enforce the rules. But like Heidi said, we need EKN face masks. That would be cool.
We're going to look at that.
Whatever we've got that can make the event fun, make it unique. We're all about that. And I emphasize again what Mike said. If it's not fun, and if you're not coming to have fun, don't come. Yeah. Stay at home.
That's it.
Because one bad apple will upset the whole cart. So let's have some fun and get back to racing.
Just by the way, Mike, got a couple of guys all over the dirt sprint. Aaron Kruger's liking the dirt sprint. Brian McCaddy said he'd be first in line for a dirt sprint deal. Doug Fleming talking about having a dirt road course in Carlsbad. They do some dirt road course racing already out there. So I just want to plant the seed. I think that
we could do it.
Yeah,
we got a quarter-mile dirt track at Indy, so we could probably cut a little bit in the infield there and do it at the same time.
Oh, now we're talking.
Something to do on Saturday night, I guess.
Now we're talking. I like it. Look, I like it. All right. What about you, Jason? Same thing. What's keeping you busy right now?
Still working. What we have hours at the shop, which is still like till about 2 or 3 in the day. It seems like we're doing a lot more work behind the scenes for Indy and Elkhart right now, and it's just like 2 or 3 times a day. Even like we get stuff from our FIA liaison. We're looking at what's been canceled, what's been postponed, concerts, fairs, you name it, across the country. Just trying to figure out a game plan.
Yeah.
Had a good phone call with the Buckeye Karting Buckeye Karting Series with Scott Benton this morning, just kind of talking about their plans and what they're looking like compared to what we're seeing here. And it's just, I think we're kind of busy. It's like I said, it seems like we're busier now than we were before, and we're not even on the road right now.
That's it. Right. That's it. I see, and everybody's doing the same thing, because we're trying to, bob and weave with what's happening, but then we're constantly changing our plans moving forward, depending on when we come back to racing. I get that for sure. All right, Mike, we'll wrap things up with you. What are you doing to keep busy? What are your thoughts on this next month as we wait to go racing again?
My thoughts on the next month are sad, because it's going to be the first May in my lifetime that, growing up half mile from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is going to be quiet.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big, but I'm keeping busy. Real job.
Attaboy. All right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much. We got a lot of questions that came in. That was great. Thanks for joining us here on Face to Face. I appreciate it, Rick. Thanks for taking the time. I do appreciate it, my friend.
As soon as Dave unmutes me. Thanks, Rob. It was great having you. Good to see you. Even hopefully the next time I see you, it's at a racetrack.
Oh, my God, please. Yeah, same with you, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Having that beer, maybe a bit jealous. I might have to have one right now. It looks pretty good.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Heidi.
Always a pleasure to spend some time with you guys. We can't wait to get back to the Battle of the Brickyard. Mike Burrell, thanks again. I do appreciate it. You've also probably started a new happy hour with Howden. That's going to happen probably pretty soon. So count me back in for that one. We'll have different
Speedway's right there. 5 o'clock happy hour, last hour practice.
Oh man, Mike, thanks again, bud. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks.
All right, guys, we are done here with the guys here from USAC. It was great to have Mike Burrell, Jason Burgess, and from Ford, David Cole. Ford, I know.
I don't know how you got that wrong.
I don't know. Ford.
Bill Elliott, Davey Allison, all the great names that raced Ford back in the day. Come on now.
That's true, man. A lot of guys on the Ford product.
Got my shirt today.
There it is. # support karting. Mine's on the way here. It takes a little longer to get to Canada. Again, we've seen a lot of people putting our support karting shirts up on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be. We love it, guys. Thank you so much. Remember, the concept right now is to try to take care of the industry who is struggling here. Many of these guys would have been back to the racetrack. They would have been at the SKUs this winter nats, or getting ready for the spring nationals, or the USPKS would have already got their first race started. A lot of these programs would have already been racing. And so there's teams and shops that are struggling right now. So the support karting initiative that we've got going, if you can right now, if you have the means, spend a bit of money with your local shop. Buy some tires, oil, fuel, buy some gift certificates. You'll pay the money now. You'll use it later. It just gets some money coming through the industry and some coming through the business right now. And that's really what we're doing with the entire # support karting program. All the proceeds from that T-shirt are going to go to the EKN partners that make sure that we're here day in and day out. Are we getting more thrashing here? Gary Collins saying # beat Rob Howden. I don't know come on. Jeff Deskins, does the track or race series matter when you # beat David Cole? It doesn't. Attaboy, Jeff. It does not matter when I beat David Cole. And just so you know,
from road racing,
I've never lost to David Cole. He has never, ever, ever, ever beat me. Ever.
Well, 2020 is a new year, new era. So
it is a new year. It is a new year.
I mean, look at all the things that have changed in 2020.
That's very true.
That is one thing that will change in 2020.
There's a good possibility. You've been very fast, but I plan on practicing like crazy. I plan on putting the time in to beat David Cole. It's going to be my only mission once we go racing again. Only mission. Beat David Cole. That's it.
It's not. Unfortunately, it's 2020. It's a new year, new era. Listen, things are going to change.
Here's two things. I was pretty fast at the Brickyard. I'll be good. I think I'll be able to beat you again there because you just can't seem to get to the front. You keep wrecking yourself all the time.
Suck at
You don't know how to qualify.
I suck at qualifying and starts.
And there's a possibility. There's a possibility that I may be able to run Rock Island. It's been like 5 years since I've run Rock Island, but the way things are shaking out, I could come back to Rock Island. You never finish at Rock Island, anyways.
That's not true.
Well, you rarely finish at Rock Island, and I think I've only not finished once. So you never ever finish and wreck most of the time.
No.
So I've got that handled. There's no issues at all there.
Can I speak?
I mean, the Grand Nationals for Cup cars, you can't even get to the first lap in the feature. So I'm not really that worried.
The results will speak for themselves this year. And by the way, I raced 3 classes last year at Rock Island, and I finished all the heat races, all the features. So
where did you start those races, Dave?
It's P-pick. It's all different. It's all different.
It is. It is.
To win first, you must finish. Unfortunately, I didn't do that at the Grand Nationals because I had your ass waxed. I probably would have lapped you.
Hold on. Let's be real. We get started. I was starting ahead of you in the race. A bunch of whiny pussies decide they're not going to race in the rain, and you pull like 4 rows in front of me. It was all the inside guys.
I can't help that people don't like to get wet.
Hey, can we let's throw Scuba Steve under the bus right now for that?
Yeah,
Steve Kilsdonk.
Is he on here?
I don't think he's on here, but I'm throwing him under the bus right now. Anyway, this guy didn't run the main event because he didn't want to get his cart wet and dirty.
Well, he led the revolt against racing in the rain because they don't want to get their carts dirty and wet or replace, the bearings and everything like that. So
stock car racing would be good for him. Off you go.
Yeah. iRacing's better for him.
iRacing, perfect. You won't have to clean your cart, Steve. All right, Dave, we're done. We're wrapping things up. Let's tell everybody about next week. It's not this week, later this week. We're actually going to have on Mike Adams from Newcastle Motorsports Park. We talked about the fact that they were able to put together a race last week, and they're going to race, I think, again this week, their first official race. And we're going to talk to Mike about what they're doing because it's something that's happening right now. There's tracks that are opening up. David actually, I think, just putting the finishing touches on an article that we'll have. It'll be an updated article. We've reached out to a bunch of the about the tracks and clubs. What's your status? What are you looking at? Are you racing soon? What's the status for practice? We're just going to kind of keep that thing updating. And so if a track hasn't given us any information yet, we hope that they'll send it in so we can continue to update that. That way people around the country can see what's happening. But for the next face-to-face, for sure, we've got Mike Adams and David. I think you had a suggestion. We're going to try to grab potentially somebody out, another track owner as well, maybe, right?
Yeah, maybe one more or two more. We'll see on the contacts because again, we still sent out some information, so we're waiting to hear back from them and if they're excited to be on the show. Yeah,
and then Tuesday right now we have it scheduled in. It'll be a cool interview. We're going to bring on Will Power and Billy Vincent from the new WPK, the Will Power kart. Will's jumping in with Billy, who's an engineer and a top team guy in the IndyCar program. Billy's a veteran karter as well. They're going to come and talk about the WPK kart. They're going to talk about their plans on how they're going to get into the sport a little bit. So it'll be cool to have Will Power here. He was pretty excited on the Twitter, his Twitter feed. He put up a post yesterday. I think he was out at GoPro. He said he likes doing the iRacing, but it was so good to get back out and actually feel the G's in his kart at GoPro. I thought that was an awesome tweet.
Yeah, it's like hugs or anything like that. You got to feel, it's like, it's just sitting in a car. Like if I could sit in my cart right now in the garage, I probably would. Yeah, and just turn the engine on and just sit to feel the vibration.
I would too.
Smell the gas.
But you can hear his voice.
I got all my recycles laid on top of it. I just can't do it.
You can hear it in his voice though when he talked about the fact how happy he was. Yeah, Will's the guy that likes his karting for sure. He'll be back. He was at the Super Nationals last year. He's already said he's coming back to the Super Nats this year, and he's doing whatever he can to get other guys to come run the Super Nats as well. So,
well, and to be honest, really, the month of May for all these professional drivers should be about karting. I mean, if you think about it, because it gives you a whole month of training, like physical training. Because again, we've talked to so many drivers who are in the professional ranks about how, again, karting is the purest form of motorsports, but it also gives you that muscle memory. And it works so many different muscles and that they're probably not even used to using or working out. Again, you can only do so much working out, but when you get on the track and as you said, feel the G forces and everything like that, there's no replacing that.
We'll throw out a couple messages to some of these guys to see who is going karting to make sure we fill you guys in on it. Otherwise, we're done for this edition of Face to Face, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you can always watch it here again on YouTube in the videos. I'll mention that in a second, Dave. Dave will upload it as well to YouTube. So all these are available on YouTube. Plus, we'll turn it into audio. If you're more of a podcast guy, they'll be available on the podcast as well on the EKN Radio Network. Again, 24/7 karting radio network. You can download the app for EKN Radio, or you can go to eKartingNews.com/radio at any time to listen to that. David showing off the Support Karting t-shirt. If you haven't bought one yet to show your support for the karting industry, eKartingNews.com/store. They've got adult sizes, kid sizes, and I believe it's available in both cotton and like a high performance
yeah.
performance product, more of like a workout shirt kind of thing. Heidi Welk, operators are standing by. Get online, make your order, and she'll get that shipped out ASAP. But when you get it, you have to put it on social media. Take a picture of yourself, tag us, tag eKartingNews, use the hashtag support karting. Tell everybody to make sure they support the sport until we can go back racing again. Heidi just said someone just bought 20. Whoa, put that up there. I like it. Thanks for the update. Hi, someone just bought 20. That is a performance. Awesome. That's good. Thank you, folks. I appreciate that. It's all for the sport. It's all for the industry, and it's for those people that support eKartingNews.com. David, you were kind of in the background there for quite a while. What do you think about a happy hour with Howden show?
It's coming.
Rum and Coke, nice IPA.
We talked about the photographers one. That might be a good one to do late night. We get Todd McCall talking about iRacing. We get Ken Johnson talking about ice racing. So we get Ken Johnson talking about birds and golf. Wyatt, I don't know what Wyatt's going to talk about. And then Chris talking about all the In-N-Out burgers he gets to eat and we don't.
Oh, Chris and I can talk about good beer too. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we could get a 5-person round table and just shoot the shit. We'll see. I don't know.
Let's do it.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. We got time.
We got lots of time, too. We got lots of time. All right, folks, we're going to wrap things up. I'm done. That's David Cole. I'm Rob. It's backwards. That's David. I'm Rob Howden. Thanks for joining us, folks. I appreciate it. Take care of each other. Stay home. Flatten the curve. We're going racing. Book it.